Hello, educators, and welcome to Odysseeware's webinar on credit recovery, allowing students to focus on skills they find most challenging. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tanya Hyatt. I'm from the Odysseyware marketing team, and I will be your webinar moderator for the day. Over the course of the next 30 minutes, you're going to be taken on a journey to learn how you can increase graduation rates and improve those student outcomes leveraging flexible online courses from Odysseyware. Presenting today is Misty Blackman, our very own Odysseyware implementation consultant. Misty's professional education journey began over 16 years ago and has allowed her to participate in learning opportunities as a teacher, a mentor, curriculum facilitator, college professor, and professional development and implementation consultant for public, charter, online, alternative, private, and Christian schools nationwide. Her education philosophy revolves around building a continued cycle of innovative development for all learners. Her belief is that effectively equipped educators effectively facilitate learning opportunities that promote educational achievement and growth. She strives to create an environment where all stakeholders feel empowered to participate in co-thinking opportunities and build capacity through shared knowledge. Misty is currently a national education consultant for Odysseyware and is working on her doctorate in educational leadership. We're super excited to have Misty present today on a topic she is obviously quite familiar with. Before we begin, though, let's just go over a few housekeeping items. Obviously, you've already noticed that attendees will be on mute, but I want you to still feel like you have power to communicate with us. So feel free to submit questions throughout that presentation using our chat feature, which you'll notice over on the right-hand side of your screen in the GoToWebinar control panel. We'll be reviewing and organizing Q&A at the end of our session as well. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Misty to kick off our webinar.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome everyone to our credit recovery webinar. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in and start with Odysseeware's effort to offer a full, comprehensive, whole learner solution for entire districts that can be used in a number of ways, from alternative education to support your ELL students, career tech, test prep, and now we are excited to offer base education, which is our social emotional learning solution. Today, however, we get the opportunity to talk about credit recovery. And as we talk about credit recovery, I want us to focus on the 5 Odysseyware differences as it relates to credit recovery. Today, we'll talk about student personalization. We'll talk about teacher customization. We will talk about opportunities for intervention and remediation. We are going to look at progress monitoring, and we cannot end the webinar without talking about technology. I want to start first with student personalization. As I go into student personalization, I want to say that Odysseyware takes a personalization approach to credit recovery. We understand that every credit recovery student is different and will have diverse needs, even if that student is taking the same course that another credit recovery student is taking. We take that tailored learning approach to credit recovery, which means that we provide prescriptive assessments that create learning paths to recover skills and to accelerate learning as well. Now, with credit recovery, we allow students to earn credits for failed or incomplete courses without having to repeat the entire course. That is amazing, guys. So that means that students have the opportunity to work on skills and lessons that they've not shown proficiency around, and we give them the opportunity to decrease the time gap, which inevitably increases engagement. We have 2 modes. One is the credit recovery mode, and it is a mode that allows students to skip units that they've already mastered And just in case they've not mastered all of the skills in that unit, we have Flex CRx Mode, which customizes learning paths within the unit. What does that mean? Great question. That means that lessons are assigned within a unit based on the assessment score. So what does that look like, Misty? Okay, let's take this Algebra 1 course, for example. This is an actual Algebra 1 course that we have on our platform. These are all of the units in each of, or in this Algebra 1 course. So, for example, students take a unit pre-test, and that pre-test is probably similar to a lot of other credit recovery solutions out there. So yes, we do that. We give students a pre-test per each unit in the course. When students take that pre-test, there is a threshold. There is a pass threshold that students have to reach. And let me just tell you guys this. You can set the threshold for the students. No, it does not have to be set just globally. Yes, we have where you can set it globally. You can set it based on the course, and you can also set it based on the student. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later when we talk about progress monitoring. But I want you to know right off the bat that you can set the pass threshold. We understand that you have students that have IEPs, you have students that are in special ed, and you may need to modify that pass threshold to meet that IEP or work with that student who has special services. So again, students have a pass threshold. Let's say that it's at 70. When students take the assessment, let's say, for example, that they made a 65. Well, the pass threshold is 70. What happens? The student didn't make the threshold. They did not meet that expectation. Normally what happens, I hope you are saying this even though I can't hear you, most likely students have to take all of the lessons in the unit if they don't meet the pass threshold. Guys, let me tell you this. That is unengaging to a student. It is not true to meeting the needs of the student. It is placing all students in a box. Odysseyware is different in that instance, where we do give the students a pretest. If the student made a 65, we know that the student has met some thresholds in a sense. Let's look at the screen. So when we open up this algebra course, this first unit, what we do is we only assign lessons according to what the student needs more support around. If the student has shown proficiency around those other lessons based on the assessment, then that student can go ahead and move on. Yay, that's exciting. And that's what our partners like about the credit recovery that we offer, is that we don't put all students in a box. We want student pathways to be created based on their individual need. Let's take a closer look at that. Let's say that we have two students. They are both taking an algebra credit recovery course. My first student scored a 34.1. My second student scored a 30.4. Now, guys, this is the same course, two different students. This student did not successfully meet the need in some of those lesson areas. In some, he got the opportunity to skip, and some he is assigned. Anywhere you see a light blue L, and L stands for lesson, then that student was allowed to skip based on the assessment. Anywhere you see a dark blue, that is what students are assigned according to the assessment that they took. So this student was allowed to skip variables and expressions, decimal fraction conversions, and fractions. But he's been assigned exponents and order of operation. My student on the right side, however, was assigned evaluating expression, or was allowed to skip evaluating expressions and classifying and comparing numbers. Guys, this is the differentiator right here. These students have two different learning pathways that meet their explicit needs. They are both assigned different things according to the strengths and according to the deficits. Now, teachers can always see those standards that are assigned to each lesson at any time. Teachers can also see any of the attempts that students have made. They can see time on task. They can see the time that students turned it in. They can see the percentage or scores that students make in each attempt. So that was number one. That's the first differentiator, is the personalization and customization in the needs of the student once they take that pre-assessment for each unit. Let's jump on over to number two, which is teacher customization. Now, students sometimes are several grade levels behind, and teachers have to or have the opportunity to customize a course to fit the needs, the unique needs of that student. And let me tell you something, as I'm going to the customization area, I was a credit recovery teacher, and my students would come in and they would take the algebra course, but guys, they would struggle with taking the course because they were several grade levels behind. And I really didn't have an option as to what I could do to help that student. And so one thing that I really like about Odysseeware's customization is that it allows students to continue taking the credit recovery course without any interruption. But as a teacher, I can go in, for example, Odysseyware allows me to go in, take a 7th grade course, because that's where my student actually is. Even though he is taking an algebra course, he is actually on a 7th grade level. So as that teacher, I can go in and I can look at this course Odysseyware gives me, and I can do a couple of things with Odysseeware's customization feature. First of all, I can change the pacing. Maybe my student is struggling with fractions and I want fractions to be the first unit that he is assigned. And then I may say, you know what, I want to go ahead and go to geometry and measurement and area. Guys, I am actually doing this live so you can see the ease of changing the pacing of a course. I can also say, you know what, I don't want the student to work on integers. I don't want the student to work on decimals, so I'm going to take that out. And I'm at the unit level, and I want you to know that anything that is taken out of a course will automatically flex assessments. What does that mean? That means that it will automatically take all assessment questions out that align with the content that was taken out. I can also rename any of the units, because maybe measurement and area is what I want the student to work on, but maybe I want to name it differently. And so you have the option of doing that as well. When I go into the fractions course, the same type of support is there for the teachers. I can modify and change the pacing of any of the lessons. Maybe I would like to have greatest common factor and least common multiple in this fractions lesson to be the second lesson. I also have quizzes here. And guys, let me tell you this, the quizzes do automatically update based on the modifications of the actual course. So let's take a look at that. Right now, I have 16 questions in this quiz. If I decide that, you know, I would like to have a quiz every 2 lessons, and I go in and I actually look at that quiz, I should have less questions, and I do. So right now I have 10 questions, whereas I had 16 at first. Oh my goodness, that makes me so excited, because I was a curriculum person in the school district, and building curriculum has its own dynamics, but to have assessments that automatically update according to how I modify a course is amazing. And speaking of modifying a course, anywhere you see a plus sign allows you to add in. Now, my student is on a 7th grade level, but you know what? He still struggles with basic math. those multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Odysseyware allows you to add content from the entire course catalog. What does that mean? That means that you can search for content from the curriculum catalog. You can search from anything that has been customized on your site. You can also topic search and standard search. If you wanted to create a course based off of your state standards for that student, you could build a course based off of that. Right now, I'm going to search through the entire course catalog, and I want to type in basic math because my student needs support around basic math. That is why he is struggling with the Algebra 1 credit recovery course. When I type that in, a couple of things happen. First of all, I see units that have basic math reviews. I see lessons. I can add these to my course. I can also filter based on grade level. So I can say, you know what, I want 6th grade and 7th grade, and it would give me lessons to pull from that is based on 6th grade and 7th grade only. Or again, I can just reset it and say, I just want basic math concepts from a global perspective. And I can take this basic math 1, basic math 2, and I can add it to my course, and guess what? It automatically updates all formative and summative assessment pieces within that course. That's exciting. I know it excites me. One more thing that I want to show you, I'm going to go back to the plus sign because you know what? Teachers have great projects, great lessons that they've created. And I want you to know that Odysseyware allows teachers to bring in content that they've already used, already created, that is great, and add it to our platform, add it to their URL. But even more than that, have you ever found a Khan Academy video that was amazing and that you use from year to year? What about a PowerPoint? What about a Word document or a URL that you would like to add into an Odysseyware course? We would allow you to create a course around anything that is outside of the Odysseyware course catalog. So I took multiplication because I felt like that's what my student needed more support around. And I built a course around that multiplication. And what I did was I grabbed a couple of Khan Academy videos, I added the content, and then I added my own questions, which updates to align with the Odysseyware course. Guys, it's endless opportunities to customization. You can continue to personalize truly on the level of need based on your student. I'm going to actually jump back in here. Customization was number 2. Number 1, we talked about personalization with credit recovery. Number 2 is the teacher customization. I want to go ahead and jump into intervention and remediation because when we were in customization, we talked about the benefit of having access to all of the courses. And when I jumped in earlier, I said that Odysseyware offers a full, comprehensive, whole learner solution for the entire district. As a partner with Odysseyware, you do have access to K-12 content and career tech content. What that means is that you have access to all of our core content in math. So if that student is several grade levels behind, you can assign it to the student. If your student, you also have access to the electives and the supplemental content as well, which gives you access to our Spark tool, which is our intervention and remediation suite. And guys, let me just tell you this. This is offered on one platform. So all of the courses that I've shown you, all of the customization, credit recovery, personalization, this is all offered on one platform. You get everything on one platform, access to all of these courses, access to the intervention and remediation suite, which begins on the kindergarten level. It is diagnostic, whereas in credit recovery, students focus on units and lessons, and it's prescriptive and personalized. With the intervention and remediation Spark tool, students actually have a prescribed lessons and content around skills, around standards around competencies that would create a learning path specific to students as well. I want to go ahead and jump into number 4. I know that our time is beginning to wind down. And so with number 4, we'll talk about progress monitoring and reporting. You do have access to over 16 different reports that can be pulled at a student level, a campus or a district level, and that can be exported as a PDF file or an Excel file, or even a link can be sent as well. Some of the most popular reports that we see partners using is the lesson progress, attendance, time on task. We also have grading regulations that can be used globally. I talked about this earlier about the thresholds being set. You can set the thresholds based on the needs of the district. So from a global perspective, you can set it based on a school perspective as well. So for the school, you can also set it based on the course and based on the individual student. So you do not have to set or stay within the parameters of one threshold. You can set it at 70, 60, 50, according to IEPs. We take your school district grading scale and add it to our what you would have for your school settings in our URL or your URL. So no, you are not in a box with setting permissions and setting parameters around grading. You can set it based on your need. And number 5, which is the last one, which is technology, which I always feel is very important. First of all, something that our partners love, and it's huge, is the fact that we are HTML5 compliant. We are Java and Flash free. So you are correct in stating that, or saying, I hope you're saying, oh my goodness, that means that the videos will not spin and spin and spin. That is absolutely correct. There are no plugins. Everything is cloud-based. It can be used on all different types of device, from smartphones to iPads. You can use Chromebooks, any access to internet on any type of device would give you access to the Odysseyware platform. Guys, I just want to thank you for joining us today. Before we jump off, I want to ask if there are any questions out there.
Thank you so much, Misty. That was fantastic. So we did have a couple of questions come through. First one, is it possible to add lessons that I've already created into the course? And I think you kind of touched base on that.
I did, and that is a very popular question. Yes, teachers can add their own content. We know that teachers create their own lessons. They've been using their lessons for a while. It works, and we wanted to create an atmosphere where they can add what they've done great to our platform. It's a partnership, and we want to give them that availability and opportunity. Great question.
Great. So the second one that came through is, can I run a report of the lessons the student was able to skip?
Absolutely. So earlier we looked at the dynamics of 2 different students in credit recovery, actually in the same course. And that view was from the grade book view. So that is a view that the teachers actually have. And yes, you can run a report to see that you can see what students actually skipped and what students were assigned. Yes, great question.
Great. And the last one that came through is, how does the student and teacher communicate in the online program when the student gets stuck?
That is another great question, and a very popular question. We did not get a chance to actually go into the student side, but on the student side, there are multiple messaging opportunities. From the student side, students can message teachers from their Odysseyware email. They can also message within the course based on each question. And what happens is when they message the teacher would receive the message on the teacher dashboard. She would also have the opportunity to see where the student is while he is working in the program. So she can see the student side from her side, from the grade book. She can also see the answer to the question. She can put virtual notes on the student's side. and she can also message the student back through the question messenger and email. Another great question. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, that was all the questions that we had coming through during this time, but I'm sure as I'm talking out loud, I'm sure there's a lot of other things that are going through your head as you're taking in all this information. So of course, I want to remind you that you can get in touch with an Odysseyware partner. Visit our website at odysseyware.com. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that your time is limited. Both Misty and I are quite aware that as forward teachers, we know our schedules are tight, and that this is probably the first break that you've gotten today to spend it with us. So thank you so much for that. Within the next couple of days, you are going to receive an email follow-up with a link to the recording. And you're also going to receive a short survey, which will automatically pop up. And we would love for you to help us out by providing your honest feedback, ideas, and even mention if there's something in particular you want to hear or that you're interested in. We also have many upcoming live learning workshop webinars available on our website as well, so go to odysseyware.com. We also have a lot of pre-recorded webinars that cover a variety of topics. So we always encourage you to check those out. Keep in touch with us. Let us know how you're doing. And thank you again. We appreciate you spending your time with us, and we want to wish you a wonderful rest of your day. So thank you.
Thank you.